Learner, you must have seen that a organization, before making any specific decision or a specific strategy, they first analyze about their own position. And this is what I'm talking about, the internal environment analysis. Because it it create or it give an idea of the kind of capabilities of an organization, or understanding on their own capabilities of the organization in terms of influencing the evolution of successful strategy that an organization require to to have a strategic position in this industry. So therefore, we now have to refer to the concept of resources and analysis of those resources. And therefore, I'm referring the concept of the resource-based view strategy of an organization. Here, the resource one need to understand that it is something which an organization owns, is accessible or can be developed to formulate and execute strategies for improving effectiveness and efficiency. And it may include tangible assets, intangible assets, core competencies, which is something that very difficult for an organization to identify. But if one identified, then it is a very strategic position in which the organization comes to. Apart from that, the capabilities, the organizational processes involved, and the technical know-how and the knowledge of the organization human resources plays very crucial role as a part of the resources. Therefore, looking at the strategic development from a different perspective, that is stretching and exploiting the organization's capability to create opportunities, it again become important to understand these capabilities. And therefore, these two perspectives together are very prominent as a matter of strategy formulation or strategy consideration. And therefore, this resource-based view, RBV, of a strategy is something significant for an organization to consider. And since it is centered on the concept of resources as the key to superior organizational performances, and you will also notice that the managers, especially who are at the middle and the top level, they are required to make strategic decisions, particularly considering the resources and the capabilities that they are having. And if the level of accuracy is not there, then you will notice that it is going to create a lot of problem for the organization, because the level of strategy might not be fit into the organization as with respect to the capabilities and the resources available with them. Therefore, this RBV model adopts the internal perception to explain how an organization's unique internal resources and capabilities serves as a basis for earning above average returns and thereby gaining competitive advantage over their competitors, which almost you will notice that all the organizations focuses on these parameters while defining or formulating the strategies. Now we need to refer the type of resources under a resource-based view strategy that organization consider. And broadly speaking, three such type of resources are come under it. One is the assets, second is the capabilities, and third is the competencies. As far as the assets are concerned, one can easily see them, and they are uh, also considered as the factors of production, which are used by organizations in providing its customers with valuable goods and services. And they are basically tangible in nature, and some intangible assets are also part of the assets resources. In addition to this, the capabilities resources are also there, which is a kind of skill set of the human resources that is part of the organization. And the purpose of them is to add value to the functioning or to the processes involved within an organization. The third type of resources under resource-based view is the competencies, where it is a kind of ability to perform or distinctive competencies over the other persons. Now, if we refer this RBV model, then you can see in the visual that the resource-based view relies primarily on two type of resources. One is the tangible, and another is the tangible, and these must be of say immobile in nature or maybe heterogeneous in nature, and they must also have a VRIO attribute to become VRIO resources here. The VRIO resources means the valuable, rare, costly to imitate and organizes. So this is something the concept of VRIO resources, and ultimately the objective is to provide the competitive advantage to the firm, which is referring this resource-based view to come to a level of VRIO resources. And if we refer the competitive advantage from this model, then the purpose in terms of achieving and ensuring that resources are developed as per VRIO framework, and it is used to develop a strategic response to external environment demand of the industry. Apart from that, we also need to consider the concept of critical success factor, which is something the organization need to identify considering the internal strength as well as the kind of opportunities available from the external market in an industry in which the firm belonging to. Therefore, this critical success factor is a major contributor in terms of the organization's success and in terms of the competitive environment, and therefore the organization needs to improve on them considering the aspect that poor results may lead to declining the performance. And if we refer some of the examples of critical success factors, then it can include like the risk management, how effective an organization is able to address this particular critical success factor. Apart from that, the capabilities in terms of the technical personals that they are having, or maybe the kind of effective communication which plays very crucial role within the organization, the effective planning, capable managers, effective KPIs, and effective quality control are some other critical success factors in an organization that they emphasize. And apart from that, some more are also there, like the effective cost estimating mechanism that the organization adopt, or maybe the effective process and the systems the organization is having, timely adopting and having a rigorous follow-up and the feedback on it. Maybe the effective milestone tracking mechanism, if the organization is having, is also plays a crucial or the critical success factor as an organization strategy formulation. And last but not the least is the effective change management, considering a specific policy implication or change in the environment, how quickly the organization is making a quick reactive response to that. So, if we refer the key sources of critical success factors, then it's a kind of industry characteristics as critical success factor. So, from that point of view, the industry specific critical success factors are factors critical for the performance of an industry. But as an example, if we consider, then hospitality industry can be considered here, where the excellent and customized service, wide presence, and an excellent booking and reservation system is critical. On the other hand, if another example, if we consider as a matter of airline industry, then fuel efficiency, load factors, and an excellent reservation system are critical success factor to that industry. So it means industry to industry, sector to sector, this critical success factor may vary, but there might be some common critical success factor that we have just referred earlier. Now, there is some more sources of critical success factor, that is the competitive position as critical success factor. The critical success factor for an organization may also be determined by its relative position with respect to its competitors. As industries dominated by a few large players and their actions might lead to determining the critical success factor for the industry, which smaller players have to follow for success. Therefore, in an industry, the dependency of the competitors and the other, maybe the minor firms or the major firms, they have to have a track what exactly taking place in terms of the industry, the rivals, what is their position in terms of the competitive position. So that plays very crucial role in terms of identifying and defining the critical success factor for a specific firm in the industry. As an example, we can consider the case of pathological laboratory centers, and you will notice that in an earlier phenomena, that critical success factor was like having a authentic or maybe hygienic and scientific testing facilities, until few big players added service features like door-to-door sample collection or maybe home delivery of reports, and very soon uh, approachability and ease become the additional critical success factor for the players in this sector or in this particular industry. Now, considering this critical success factor, we now have to also understand the concept of value chain framework, because the sequence or the value chain referred in a process, especially the production houses, particularly emphasize this kind of framework. So, in this framework, any business is seen as the number of linked activities and each producing value for the customer from one process or one stage to the other stage. And this usually happen by creating additional value, and the organization may charge more or is able to deliver same value at the lower cost, either of this leading to a higher profit margin. And particularly you will notice that ultimately it adds to the organization's financial performance in terms of the ROI or maybe in terms of the higher profitability. Porter's has given a value chain framework in this context, and it primarily analyzes the organization's contributions of individual activities, that is primary and supportive in a business, and at the same time it emphasizes that how they add up to the overall level of customer value the organization produces. In a visual, you will be noticing that the primary activities are like inbound logistics, how the stuff or the raw material or the material required to process and make the final product is carried out in an organization. Subsequently, the different type of processes, operations on those raw materials take place as part of the operations. Then, in the primary activities, the outbound logistics arrangement are also considered, and the marketing and sales related activities also come under the primary activities, and other different services can also come under it. And these primary activities, without the engagement or without the help of support activities, are incomplete. Therefore, the support activities within the value chain framework need to be considered to the higher extent as well, which include the firm infrastructure, the procurement mechanism, maybe the human resource management of an organization, and maybe the research and development. Sometimes we refer it as the technological development, and ultimately bringing these together uh, as as kind of activities or sequence of activities or the correlated activities or relation between these type of activities, it bring a position of higher profit margins for the firm. Now we at this juncture, we need to have understanding on the guiding points for evaluating the primary activities in this framework of value chain, where the inbound logistics include the soundness of material and inventory control system. It also include the efficiency of raw material in terms of the warehousing activities. As far as the operations are concerned, the productivity of equipment as compared to that of key competitors plays a very crucial role. The appropriate automation of production processes and the effectiveness of control system in order to improve the quality and by reducing the cost also very crucial in the operations. And another aspect of the primary activities of operations include the level of efficiency of plant layout and workflow design. Better is or the convenient position or a effective flow design plays a significant position in terms of the operations. The third type of primary activity is outbound logistics, which need to ensure or which emphasizes a value chain framework, the timeliness and efficiency of delivery of finished goods and the services that a organization offers. Apart from that, the efficiency of finished goods warehousing activities are also part of it. The another primary activity also included in this case is the marketing and sales. In that, the effectiveness of market research for the purpose of identifying customer segments and the needs, the innovation taking place in terms of the sales promotion and the advertisement, and the evolution of alternate distribution channel and the motivation of competence of sales force, then the development of an image of quality and the favorable reputation of the firm as well as its product. Then another aspect in the marketing and sales is to what extent the market dominance within the market segment or overall market is. The last primary activity is the customer service. In that means to solicit customer input for product improvement. Further, it also emphasizes on the promptness of attention to customer complaints, appropriateness of warranty and guarantee policies of the firm within the industry, and also to provide replacement parts and repair service. Now, if we refer the SWOT analysis from the perspective of the internal environment analysis point of view, then it helps in terms of summarizing the key issues from the external environment point of view and its relation with respect to the internal capabilities that the organization is having with a view that what is critical in terms of the strategy formulation that can help out the organization. In the visual, you can also notice the metrics between the strength and the weaknesses, which is the internal environment aspect, and which is within the organization, the organization can identify and can make necessary you know aspects they can address to. But at the same time, there are few factors which is something not in the hand, but at the same time which is something influenced from the external environment, that is the opportunities available to the firm as well as the kind of threats available or applicable in the industry, that is again external. So therefore, the strengths and the opportunities in the SWOT analysis are something which is going to favor or which is something going to help out the organization, and at the same time the weaknesses of the organization as an internal aspect as well as the threats which is something external is something considered as a harmful aspect. Where the organization, if we consider in terms of the strength, then they need to uh, ask themselves that what do they do best, but at the same time if they need to analyze the kind of weaknesses, so they need to ask a question like in what areas do we receive the most complaints, where they can address it as a matter of weakness that they are having. If we consider the opportunities as a matter of external aspect, then the question arises what opportunities are available to the firm in an industry. But if we refer the threat related aspect, then the question arises what trends, conditions, or competitors pose a threat to the organization. We are here uh, to set an example here, and this example is particularly for the IT firm, a software development firm is there. So for that, the SWOT analysis or some of the critical aspect of SWOT analysis has been pinpointed. Like in the case of the strength in a software development firm, or IT industry, it can be high quality products that the firm is developing and offering to the market. The other strength could be good reputation of the firm, learning from mistakes and producing better products, highly competitive, and competitive pricing can also be part of the strength of the firm. And one more aspect is that is low production cost. If you refer the weaknesses, then is it into the loss-making firm? Is it something that the sales slowing down? Is it something that no sense of direction is taking place? Maybe decrease in productivity, or maybe no proper collaboration within the functional department can also be part of the weakness in an organization. If you refer the opportunities which are external and something that from the external industries or from the external market the industry is having, and that is a matter of opportunity that the firm can grab. It can include like the increase in the size of engineering division, maybe uh, the original work that the firm may be given a good weightage, maybe increase in promotional techniques, trying to sell high quality products, maybe at a cheaper rate, maybe expanding its operations, maybe overseas demand uh, is increasing. So that may be is an important factor of opportunity. Now, if we refer the threats, then competitors' position, like any other competitor to the organization, it can be a major threat. Similarly, reports that show some of its products are fake, a decline in reputation can be a major threat to the firm. It can also include the a proper strategy, maybe losing to competitors due to the complexity of products, are some of the other aspects which can be part of the threat. Now we have reached to one last important topic of this unit, that is internal factor evaluation metrics. So this internal factor evaluation metrics is a strategic tool which helps the organization in terms of analyzing or evaluating the internal environment position of an organization, particularly from the point of view of the major strength the firm is having, and as well as the kind of weakness the organization is having. And particularly in the case of the major functional areas in which the business is operating into. And it is having five steps. If we refer this particular tool of this internal factor evaluation matrix, then it is having five steps. The first step is to jot down the list of key internal factors. And these factors can vary between 10 to 20 key internal factors, and where they can determine the strength as well as the weaknesses for an organization. So initially we are identifying it, and in the step 2, each of these factors, that is key internal factors, are assigned a specific weight, and this weight can be between 0 to 1, where 0 means not that important, not that crucial, but at the same time 1 is something very important, very crucial. Therefore the range can be of this weight can be between 0 to 1. So it means the weights depict the relative importance to each factor, that is internal factor, for being successful in the industry. The weights are industry based, and the sum of all the weights should be 1. In step number 3, we assign a rating to each factor, and that rating is something that it can scale between 1 to 4, where the value of these 1 to 4 means that if the rating is 1, it means a major weakness. If 2, then minor weakness. If it is 3, then minor strength. And if it is 4, that is the rating is 4, then it is showing a kind of major strength. In step number 4, we try to determine a weighted score, which is a multiplication of the weight with the rating that has been assigned to a specific factor. The last step is 5 number, where we try to determine the total weighted score by summing up the weighted score of the firm. And as an example, if you need to see, then these are somewhere around 7, 8 strength of a firm has been identified as key internal factors. At the same time, somewhere around 7 to 8 weaknesses are also identified for the same firm, where the weight has been assigned between 0 to 1 for each of these key internal factors, and the rating has been given between 1 to 4. For 4, for example, in the case of HR advantage, the rating has been assigned as 4, which means major strength of the firm. But at the same time, you will also notice that like level of depth, that is 1, it means like position of 1 to 1 and 2 is there, but at the same time 3 and 4 are the strength, that is minor or major strength of the firm with respect to respective key internal factors. In the case of weighted score, the weight and the rating has been multiplied and calculated, and if we sum up these two in a respective group, that is total weighted score of the strength, it is coming up as 1.92 in this example, and the total weighted score is coming for the weaknesses, or total weaknesses is coming around 0.82. If we further add the weighted score of both the strength and the weaknesses, it is coming somewhere around 2.74. Now the analysis is very important in terms of the final figure coming as the total weighted score. Here, the total weighted score can be as low as 1 and it can be as higher as 4, but the average score should be 2.5. In case if the total weighted score is below than 2.5, which is below the average, then in that case it indicates the weak internal position of the firm. On the other hand, if the total weighted score is above than the average, that is of 2.5, then it signifies the strong internal position of the firm. In this example, since the total weighted score by including both the strength and the weaknesses is coming 2.74, which is higher than 2.5, therefore this firm is into the better position, that is strong internal position of this firm is coming up. Now we are uh, reached to a block 3 here, that is formulation of strategy, which is comprising of 3 units. The unit number 7, business level strategy, unit 8, competitive strategy, and unit 9, corporate level strategy. But in today's session, we will be discussing unit number 7, that is business level strategy, and unit 8 and 9 will be discussed in subsequent session. So let's have an overview of the coverage that we will be having in this unit, that is business level strategy, and the core concept of this block, that is formulation of a strategy. Since in previous block number 2, we have tried to analyze the environment analysis, that is internal, external, different tools available to it. But once these environment related aspect has been analyzed, now the time has come for the firm or the managers to formulate a specific strategy which is primarily based on the market analysis or the environment analysis. And subsequently we will be referring in the unit 4 that which strategy will be finalized and zero down. So in this unit of 7, we will be discussing about the concept of level of strategies. Three important strategies of business level will be covered here. Role of cost in business growth will be discussed. Concept of cost leadership strategy, prerequisites of cost leadership, interrelationship of three generic strategies will also be discussed in this unit. Cost leadership limitations, and the concept of a differentiation strategy along with its types, then the factors resulting in differentiation strategy, the tangible and intangible components of differentiation, and the cost of differentiation will also be discussed in this unit. Then we will be covering the concept of differentiation strategy from the point of view of its merits and demerits, the concept of focus strategy, and the effectiveness of the focus strategy in certain situation will also be discussed. And we will also be referring the merit and demerit of the focus strategy. So let's begin with the discussion on the concept of business level strategies. So learners, you will be knowing that a kind of perspective that business is having in terms of what strategy will suit it and what strategies are not going to suit it is something that the business need to identify or the firms need to identify in advance. Therefore, the business level strategies are more of a kind of layout or plan or a kind of roadmap that helps them in terms of providing value to the customers and gain a competitive advantage by making the best use of its core competencies. Now, it can be referred by addressing to three key aspects which a firm always try to emphasize. First is by way of satisfying the customer needs. Second is by means of achieving an edge over its competitors. And third is by way of avoidance of competitive disadvantage. And therefore, three business level strategy comes into the mind based on this discussion. One is the cost leadership, the differentiation aspect, maybe product differentiation or service differentiation. And third is the focus the organization is having to. So we will be having these three strategies. One is the cost leadership strategy, which emphasizes or stresses on producing quality products at a low cost for the consumers who are price sensitive. The other type of strategy in the case of business level strategy is the differentiation strategy, where the kind of customers, if are of price insensitive, so for them, the idea is to producing goods and services considering the uniqueness or a very unique product or way of service in the industry is the core concept that the firm need to address to. The third is something called the focus strategy, which primarily concentrates on producing products and services that fulfill the needs of small groups of consumers and is based on a specific segment or a specific target market. So let's see uh, the concept of cost or the role of cost in terms of the business growth, because this is going to help us in terms of understanding the cost leadership concept. So, for an organization, the survival and its growth is something primarily depends on what the organization pays for its fixed cost as well as what contribution it generates after meeting all the expenses. That is the return on the investment aspect. And apart from that, it is also emphasized by the firm that the cost aspect can be minimized to what extent. So that is uh, always the kind of consideration the firm need to have. And at the same time, they try to improve the level of their efficiency by way of improving the quality. So these three parameters or these three variables plays hand in hand having the relation, and they are something that one need to consistently monitor. That is the cost, efficiency, and the quality. Now, apportioning of the fixed cost incurred by the organization in starting a business is completely dependent on the volume of its operations. Therefore, a lower volume of products puts a heavy burden on each unit produced, while on the other hand, a larger volume of operations reduces the cost per unit, and therefore the total variable cost, which varies with the volume produced, may also reduce as the consequences of the expense curve effect, which you must be seeing in the visual, where the cost, if the cumulative number of units produced is increased, like from 1 to 2 times, then you will notice the cost, which was earlier very high, that is C1, is subsequently come down to C2, means somewhere around cost reduction is around 40% uh, come down. Similarly, if the cumulative number of units produced subsequently increases to say level of 4 times, and again you will notice that the cost per unit is subsequently coming down, and again there is a 40% cost reduction. So in that case, it is consistently linking between the cumulative production of unit as well as with respect to the cost per unit applicable in the case of production. Therefore, now we need to discuss the concept of cost, and based on that, how the cost leadership strategy plays a crucial role in terms of the business level strategy formulation. So the organizations should produce good quality products, but they also need to emphasize on the cost towards a minimum side or towards the lower side of cost. And it gives or it support the organization in terms of developing the competitive advantage by developing the a kind of competitive edge to the firm. Similarly, they should also provide a high quality of product at a lower cost, so that the customer gets the best value for the money that they have paid or they have invested in the goods. Apart from that, one such generic strategy can also be to overall cost leadership, which aims at producing and delivering the product or service at a low cost relative to its competitors, at the same time by maintaining the quality. Now, there are certain prerequisites, conditions of cost leadership, which has been referred by the quotas. First is to sustain the cost leadership throughout an organization, it must be clear about its accomplishments through different elements of the value chain. Five prerequisites of cost leadership, as per Michael Porter, are aggressive construction of efficient scale facilities, vigorous pursuit of cost reduction, excuse me, from experience, tight cost and overhead control, avoidance of marginal customer accounts, cost minimization, and we can also see the kind of interrelationship of three generic strategies, that is the cost, differentiation strategy, and the focus strategy. Now, as a entire industry, if we consider, then cost leadership strategy could be something where the firm can think like be the most competitive company, excuse me, in cost in the entire market. But if we refer from the complete market point of view, then the differentiation strategy could be a distinctive company recognized for its uniqueness, maybe quality or personality. Now, if we refer it from a specific segment point of view, that is a specific target market point of view, or a specific market scope point of view, that the cost can have a focus where the strategy, cost focus strategy, could be that it can be very competitive in cost in a particular product or the niche market. Similarly, the differentiation focus in a specific segment, for that the strategy could be like have a differentiated product or market niche. Excuse me. So, in this case of the cost leadership strategy, there are certain limitations too that one need to consider. It can be like the initiation by the competitive organizations if are taking place, then it also need to be considered. It can't be ignored. Similarly, the threat of competitive organizations from other countries, organization losing cost leadership due to fast technological changes, which require high capital investment, may be threat by competitors to capture still lower cost segments, and the competition based on other than cost will also make a major implication for the firm. Therefore, if we make a conclusion based on this cost leadership strategy, then it has to be adopted keeping in mind the risk involved and develop an overall effective cost strategy. Now, we here need to understand the concept of differentiation with an example of Jeep company, uh, where they have a product of Wrangler, which adopt a radar-based radar brake system, which is a collision mitigating system, uses the reflection from a millimeter, where the wave radar sensor on the front of the vehicle realizes in advance safety functions. It assists, increases brake pressure if it senses that the driver is not braking hard enough. So in this case, this particular technique or this particular feature bring this model of vehicle in that particular automobile sector, and it differentiates it from the other automobile products available in the market. Therefore, based on this example, if we try to identify the kind of differentiation strategy, so the idea is that to satisfy the diverse needs of the customers, it becomes essential for the organizations to adopt a differentiation strategy. And it also make this strategy successful if it is from the point of view of the necessary for the organizations to do extensive research to study the different needs of the customers. As an organization, uh, it let them be able to differentiate from its competitors. And if it is able to position itself uniquely at something that is valuable to the buyers, then we will notice that the differentiation can lead to differential advantage to the firm, in which the firm gets the premium in the market, which is more than the cost of providing the differentiation. Now, the differentiation can be said to have more competitive advantage than the cost advantage, as it is quite difficult to imitate the differentiated products. Even if the initiative or the kind of initiation is done in terms of concept, then also a particular product remains unique regarding its value, style, packaging, etc. Therefore, it is important to understand the demand of the customers and fulfilling this demand, keeping in mind the differentiation advantage. And you will notice that the organizations should concentrate on its creativity as well as the innovativeness than on market research. Further, if we refer some of the prominent factors which are resulting in differentiation strategy, then there are a number of reasons depending on the nature of organizations which adopt a kind of differentiation strategy. And these requirement is need based and depends on the organization's position in the industry. And some of those factors which results in differentiation is in terms of to create entry barriers for newcomers by building a unique product, which will create a situation where the newcomers will not get an opportunity to either involve or to get the entry position. At the same time, they compete against the rivals who are in existing market. They also reduces the threats arising from these substitutes, and they also develop a differentiation advantage for the firm, and hence we can say that the differentiation helps the organizations to get a competitive advantage over its rivals that they are having to. And hence we can say that there are two major types of differentiation strategy the firm can formulate or can refer at the business level. One could be the tangible differentiation they can adopt to, and second is the intangible differentiation. So we need to understand these two type of differentiation that the firm can adopt to. In the case of tangible differentiation, it focuses with the observable characteristics of a product or service that are relevant to customers, preferences and choice processes, and these may include size, shape, color, weight, design, material, and technology. Similarly, if we refer like intangible differentiation, so it is more of a aura of the product, more of a image which is created in the market, and it is primarily based on the kind of the opportunities for intangible differentiation which arises because the value that the customer perceive in a product or service does not depend exclusively on the tangible aspect of the offering. Now, we need to further understand it with the help of an example. The intangible differentiation is more effective in those cases where the customer has once experienced the product. Let's take an example of chocolate industry, where every brand has a unique taste, different packaging style, maybe the color combinations. But this is the case where quality can be judged only after using the product once. But it but in case where the quality cannot be judged by experience itself, that is, we can take the case of another industry that is medical services. So it is more of an intangible differentiation, and this is something not that effective as the case of the tangible component in the case of tangible differentiation. Therefore, based on this differentiation of two types, like tangible and intangible, we can say that the intangible differentiation is accompanied by tangible differentiation. Here, there are certain opportunities for creating uniqueness within the organization. The settler has given some activities as a matter of an example. Like in the case of manufacturing, you will notice that it can be like minimization of defects. In the case of resource management activity, the differentiation opportunity could be like in terms of the improved training and development, maybe motivating the increases in terms of the customer service capabilities, maybe in terms of the financial management. It can include the activities of, say, differentiation opportunity could be by way of improving the stability of the organization. And another activity can take as an example referred by the Sadler is in terms of the customer services, where the differentiation opportunity lies in terms of providing pre-sales information to the customer. Now, we are here to make one more concept clear, that is cost of differentiation. So, Differentiation is usually very costly because it involves a lot of R&D, it involves a lot of fund, it involves a lot of involvement of the external agencies and maybe the kind of distributors or maybe the kind of market research related activity it need to address to. So in that case, it adds cost and as it involves added features to cater to the needs of the customers. So usually the cost is incurred in the following cases, like in the case of increased expenditure on training, maybe in terms of the increased advertisement spending to promote the product, maybe in terms of the cost of hiring highly skilled sales force. Like as an example, we can take like very commonly BTech professionals are hired for automobiles by the automobile dealers, particularly in the case of Jeep company, Audi company, or BMW. Similarly, one more aspect can also be referred as a important cost of differentiation point of view, that is use of more expensive material to improve the quality of the product, which is something giving competitive advantage as well to the product of the firm. Further, differentiation is surely costly, but if the value activities are compared and coordinated properly, the cost can be minimized. And we can notice it in different ways and means. Say, differentiation is having more product features, which can be costly, but similarly, for bigger products, differentiation is likely to be less costly than for the small products like soap, it can be toothpaste, maybe small product in nature. Here, the cost of differentiation more or less depends on the cost drivers, where the cost can be minimized to achieve an appropriate differentiation strategy, which gives a premium price for the product. And therefore, the economies of scale can be exploited to a large extent with the help of a trade-off situation between the cost and the differentiation. Now, we can refer some of the prominent merit aspect with respect to the differentiation strategy. It can be a premium price for the organization. It can be a kind of increase in number of units sold, and it can help out in terms of increasing in the brand loyalty by the customer, and also it can help out or giving a positive position to the firm by way of sustaining competitive advantage. But on the other hand, there are three major limitations aspect of the differentiation strategy too. One is the uniqueness of the product not valued by customers. So in that scenario, the uniqueness necessarily does not lead to differentiation. The other limitation could be excess amount of differentiation. Somewhere unnecessary differentiation results in failure, might be because of the confusion, might be because of the not being able to stabilize its earlier position of the product. And third limitation or the disadvantage could be lost due to differentiation. So, so these are some of the limitational aspects. So now we can refer the focus strategy, or which is also known as the niche strategy. So focus strategy is segment based and has narrow competitive scope. It involves the selection of a market segment or a group of segments in the industry. And the idea is that to meeting the needs of that preferred segment or the niche that we can refer for the purpose of better than the other market competitors. Here, the competitive advantage can be achieved by optimizing strategy for the target market, and it has two variants, that is the cost focus or second is the differentiation focus. The cost focus is a kind of advantage in the target segment. At the same time, the differentiation focus seeks a kind of differentiation in the target segment. Now, this focus strategy as a niche strategy means that the market niche is chosen where customers have distinct preferences or requirement in the industry. It means the niche is a kind of geographic uniqueness by specialized requirements in using the product or by special product attributes that appeal only to niche members and not to the other market customers or the non-target customers. So the success of the focus strategy categorically depends on the difference of the target segment from the non-target segment. Here, the effectiveness of the focus strategy in certain situation depend on market segment large enough to be profitable. Maybe the market segment has a good growth potential. Maybe the focuser has efficient resources. Maybe the focuser is able to defend against challenges, and like that many more such effectiveness of focus strategy can be referred in certain situation. Similarly, we can have the advantages aspect of the focus strategy. One is that the focuser can defend against Porter's competitive forces. Five forces have been referred by Porter in this case. The focuser can reduce competition from new organizations by creating a niche of its own. Similarly, threat from producers producing substitute products is reduced. The bargaining power of the powerful customers is also reduced. And the last advantage would be that the focus strategy, if combined with low cost and differentiation strategy, then it would definitely going to help out in terms of increased market share and the profitability. Now, we have just referred the advantages. There are certain disadvantages to the focus strategy. One is the market segment may not be large enough to generate profits, and the segment's need may become less distinct from the main market, and the competition may take over the target segment. So now we have reached to the end stage of the presentation, where we have discussed the unit number 6 of block 2 and unit number 7 of block 3. So in unit 6, we can quickly recap what we have discussed. We have referred the concept of general environment analysis and the concept of resource-based view of the strategy with its different types, and the concept of critical success factor along with the key sources of critical success factors. Similarly, we also refer the value chain framework and the SWOT analysis along with some example. And further in unit 6, we also discussed the internal factor evaluation metrics along with the example we have taken in this case. In unit 7 of block 3, we refer the business level strategy from the point of view of the strategy formulation, where the concept of business level strategy has been discussed, where three type of strategies were referred, that is cost leadership, the differentiation, and the focus. Further, we have also referred all these aspects in detail, and in upcoming session we will be referring to other type of or to other level of strategy in subsequent session. By that time, thank you.